Today I will be cooking pasta e lenticchie, which is lentil pasta. Lentils are really versatile. They marry with lots of different type of ingredients, but this is a very simple version, Sicilian, and I will be combining the lentils with a good amount of garlic, which is very critical in this recipe. Also some fresh tomatoes and Cavolo Nero, which is kale. I've just added a generous tablespoon of olive oil to my pan, and I'm now gently crushing 5 cloves of garlic. I will keep my garlic, but if you wanted to, you could leave it whole and remove it towards the end, and in it goes. And I will lower the temperature and I'll leave the garlic to gently sizzle for about 30 seconds. Whenever I cook anything like this, if I can, I always like to use fresh tomatoes. I think they release a little bit more flavor, but of course you can also use tinned tomatoes. So I'm going to add now 300 grams of fresh tomatoes to my garlic and my oil. You can see that the garlic has done a lovely job, as well, you won't be able to see because you cannot smell it, but I can smell it. There's a beautiful flavor from the garlic coming up. I'm leaving the temperature on medium-low until the tomatoes start softening it up and releasing some of their juices. And as my plan is to leave the garlic in, by the way, I occasionally go in and disturb it so that it doesn't sit for too long on the same position. And you can see already that the tomatoes are beginning, literally less than a couple of minutes, to release this lovely juice. So I'll give them another couple of minutes and then we can add the lentils. In the meantime, I'll show you what I've done. They were 300 grams when they were dry, and I've soaked them overnight. Here they are, they're still in water. I'm going to rinse them and then I'll weigh them and I'll let you know how much you need should you wish to use tinned lentils already cooked. There we go, so let's have a look. They weigh 660 grams. So generally, if you buy tinned lentils, the net weight is approximately 240 to 250 grams in a tin, here in the UK anyway. So a couple of tins should be plenty. I'd go a little bit more, but it doesn't really matter. Broadly, 2 tins, perfect. And back to my tomatoes. If I squash them, you can see that they are perfectly cooked now. And if you were to use tinned tomatoes, by the way, as they are already kind of soft, you do not need to cook them for the same amount of time. 3 to 4 minutes will be enough. So I'm going to add the lentils as they are next, over there. So remember, these are still uncooked, but even if you were to use lentils in a tin, you can add them now. And as these have been in cold water, I'm turning the temperature up so that they reach the same temperature as the rest of the ingredients. But I'll continue mixing in the meantime. And there we go, you can see that everything is boiling nicely, so I can turn them down again, just above medium, and I will leave them undisturbed for about 5 minutes. And during this time, the lentils will start cooking, but also they will start absorbing some of the juices until I get more or less a dry surface at the bottom, so about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'll get my kale ready. I'm smiling because in Sicily you don't tend to buy vegetables from the packet, but we are in the UK here. But this is quite fresh, which is quite pleasing. So in terms of the weight, this is 200 grams. So I'll go and wash it and I'll come back. This is Cavolo Nero, by the way. If you want to replicate it here, I'll show you the packaging. Cavolo Nero kale. But you can use most leafy greens for this recipe. Obviously, if you want to replicate this exact recipe, and if you can get hold of kale, even better. But you can also use spinach if you like, or chard and spinach. Or if you want to be creative, you can do a combination of all. But regardless of what you use, ensure that you go in and you chop it in little pieces. I'm doing mine at the moment here. They're about 1 inch in width, and I'm just cutting it with a knife. Back to the lentils, and this is what I meant. If you take a look, can you see the bottom of my pan is completely dry? And that is perfect. So about 5 minutes, as I said before. Now, sometimes you might have gone out for a meal to a friend or restaurant, and you try something and you see that there is an ingredient in your food, but you're not quite sure what it is, but it makes a big difference. This is what I'm about to add to my lentils. Balsamic vinegar, not a lot, just 1 dessert spoon like this, and it goes in. And this will not change the taste completely, but it will provide an underlining taste which is not recognizable, but you know it's there, and you know it's there because you have cooked it. So that goes in, and this is now a good time to add my Cavolo Nero, in it goes, just on top of all of my lentils, just like this. And I'm going to press it down, and at the same time I've boiled my kettle because everything is hot anyway, and that will speed things up. And I'm going to cover everything with water until I reach the top of my Cavolo Nero, something just like this, because that will be pretty much 1 inch above the top of the lentils. And I'll turn the temperature down and I'll wait until this starts boiling now. And there we go, I can see the first few bubbles start coming up, perfect. I'm going to add now some salt and pepper, quantities to taste. And here is my lid. I'll give this one funnel mix before I place the lid on, and you can see that the Cavolo Nero is beginning to reduce already. And I'll place the lid on, I'll turn it down on the medium once again, and I will leave it undisturbed for about 25 to 30 minutes. So see you then. Whenever I cook kale, it's quite remarkable actually, because it's got such a pleasant smell, and just checking the camera as the steam might cloud it, and the whole house smells really Mediterranean. And if you have never done it before, give it a shot. It's really pleasant. So I've been cooking now for 30 minutes, and you can see that has drastically reduced in size. I'm going to mix it all together to see my level of water. I think it's okay. So I've got here some macaroni pasta, short pasta, 150 grams. I'm not going to add an awful lot because pasta will as well become bigger, and I don't want it to take over. And also I've got the lentils there, I've got the kale, so it's a combination. This is more on the line of soup, if you see what I mean, more than pasta. Or you can also add some very small cube potatoes if you want instead of pasta, or nothing, you could just eat it as it is. But now I'll turn the temperature up once again, and this will take as long as the pasta need to cook. Ensure that by now your dish is ready really, because now it's about cooking the pasta. So I'll leave it to cook about 7 to 8 minutes, and then it will be ready. So I'll see you then. And I'm ready. And if you are vegetarian or vegan, this is an absolute dream, by the way, because undoubtedly you will love lentils, you will love vegetables like kale. And Julie just came in the kitchen, she thought, oh my god, the smell is so good. Anyway, everything is cooked. Ensure that you do not overcook the pasta, by the way, because this has got a tendency of blowing up, so you don't really want it to be too soft. I'll start by adding a little basil, but no, this is actually parsley, not basil. A good amount on the top, and I'll mix it. And also I've got some olive oil here. I'll do this twice, by the way. I'll do it in the pot first, so there I'll stop, and I'll give it a good mix. And there we go, I just spotted some garlic, as this is my portion. I'll make sure that I'll carry it forward, and I'll start dishing it. Perfect. Now, a little bit more parsley now that it's on my plate, and a little bit more olive oil, of course. And this is very personal. I like chili flakes. I like to give my lentils a bit of depth with chili. I'm not sure if Julie will or not.
Just a pinch, I think, for me.
Just a little on top like this, and that makes a bit of a difference. A bit like the balsamic vinegar. And time to taste it. Let's have a look. I was very lucky. I got a bit of the garlic and it's delicious, and honestly it's such a simple thing to make. You saw me cooking it, and so nutritious, of course. Let me know if you do cook it, and bon appetit as always. Thank you for watching. Ciao ciao.